Ladies and gentlemen, today on Backstage Pass, we're thrilled to welcome the Heels, Kyla Rawlins, Bobbi Smith, and Brittni Fiddler, a dynamic country music trio renowned for their stunning harmonies and heartfelt storytelling. Managed by industry titans Grand Slam Productions, Conway Entertainment Group, and the Thompson Artist Management Team, the Heels have been making significant waves in the country music scene. Their journey from a North Vancouver café to gracing stages like the Grand Ole Opry House is a testament to their talent and dedication. With chart-topping albums and a rapidly growing fan base, the Heels are redefining the essence of modern country music. And today, we get them right here. Ladies, thanks for joining me. I appreciate you taking the time out with me. How you doing today?
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. Hey, we'll jump right into it and get the conversation rolling. I want to talk about inceptions of the Heels. My understanding is you guys started off, in North Vancouver at a cafe is where y'all met, right? Is that kind of how the story goes? Talk to me a little bit about that.
So I have two restaurants, cafes in North Vancouver, and Brittni was a barista and Bobbi was a customer.
Yeah.
So that was
Really?
10 years ago that we first met, and then Bobbi was 8 years together now.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So owner, barista, guests walk into a cafe, they meet, and all of a sudden,
I know we've said like three girls walk into a cafe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, that's pretty amazing. So how did you guys find out that all three of you can sing? Or was that just conversation?
No, I always wanted, my dream was to have a venue like Bluebird that's in Nashville. So I used to have live music and open mics. And then Brittni,
Okay.
her sister, who was initially in the band with us, they went up and did a duo or a duet together. And I was like, I need to sing with these girls. I was in a whole bunch of other bands. We all come from different backgrounds musically, and we were all solo singers before. And then, that night I just knew it. There was just something magical about the two of them. And I just, in that second, it's almost like we just knew. It was very
Kyla
strange.
tapped me on the shoulder and was like, we need to sing together.
Yeah.
We also have like mutual friends who were like, you guys should sing together. And same with Bobbi. So.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Wow, that's pretty cool. That's pretty interesting. Decades later, you guys are still rolling. And how many albums deep do you got now together?
We're
Great.
working on number 4.
That's right. Okay, cool. So obviously there's some chemistry going on with you guys here.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that wouldn't be the case. So talk to me about the music in and of itself. Largely, country roots right now. I'm hearing sounds of country. I've got a chance to hear some of your original work as well, which kind of blends even some pop maybe sounds into it. But talk to me about this progression of being in the country space and how you've managed to kind of blend modern sounds with still keeping true to country roots, if you're even trying to do that. Talk to me about the process there.
I think because of our backgrounds, like I come from a country soul rock kind of jazz kind of background, and Bobbi is 100% country.
Yeah. And I'm like country, but with like pop and rock and stuff in my background. So we kind of create our own blend and our own sound. Yeah. And country was the one genre that we all had in common. And we also listen to so many different genres of music that when we're writing, I feel like you can naturally just pull from different things that you've been listening to, like different influences. And then we also try to incorporate a lot of healing into our music. So originally that was more of the message. So we were trying to write songs that would uplift people and give people hope and work through any of your feelings.
Yeah.
And then as we really kept with that pattern, we started to learn more about frequency healing and how different sounds and tones affect the body in positive ways. So started adding that. Our third album actually has that all layered underneath. And we wanted it to be subliminal. We wanted it to still sound like mainstream country music, but with like a little bit of our hippie touches here and there. So we had a sound healer who played some singing bowls, gongs, and different frequencies. And then they're just tucked in the production from Brittni Fiddler, just here and there. And some of them, they start out with like a resonating tone, but it still, lends to a country music sound.
Sure.
And it's also why we're called the Heals.
Yeah.
Our mission is to heal the world through music and positivity, inspiration. So inclusivity, we're all about it, all of it.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, I did not catch that part. I did not see that was where that came from. At first, probably like many men or just people in general would have thought that it's related to a trio, and heels being what you wear as.
Wear
Yes,
heels.
we do. It's both. It's
Yes.
double meaning, but
Yeah.
to keep to that initial intent.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. So it sounds like you guys are really intentional about what you're piecing together. Like this is really messaging that's like you mentioned, it's meant to change the world,
Yeah.
and you're super intentional about the content that you're crafting into it. Yeah.
And it's like healing is a serious thing, but we also add a lot of like humor and quirkiness into our lyrics and our songs as well. So we also believe that like laughter's healing. So we have like a lot of different sides to us, but we want to just make people feel good.
Yeah, I gotcha. That's interesting. You know, obviously, like I alluded to earlier, there's some chemistry going on with the three of you because, you know, you're 4 albums deep. You know, you've achieved some milestones. I mean, performing at places like the Grand Ole Osprey House, winning accolades, right? BCCMA's Country Group of the Year. How are these particular, like, experiences or accolades that you've managed to acquire in such a short window, I would say, how does that, like, influence your current growth as a team, as an artist?
I think it's just it keeps us inspired. The Grand Ole Opry House was one of our biggest dreams since we were all little kids, and
Yeah.
to do that and to sing in the circle, it's just something that we've only ever dreamt about, and we made that an actual reality for ourselves. And I think it's just up from here. Every single day we work harder than the next day, or the past day, I should say. So. We do jam pack our days, and we try to meet as many people as possible while we're living here in Nashville together. And we're doing it. We're doing the thing.
Yeah, I think each accolade adds like a different level of encouragement. It's something that as creators, we come from a place where we just want to express ourselves, and if we do that and touch people, to us that's the most deepest meaning behind this. But when you can also, you know, receive awards or charting numbers, or it just adds like a whole different level of, I guess, like reward and success, and just like affirmation to yourself that what you're doing is working. Yeah, and like your dreams come true. Like, it's like if this can happen, then what else can happen?
Yeah,
like, it is encouragement, like you said.
Right on the circle in Nashville, Tennessee.
Yeah, that's awesome. You know, seeming a progression, or talking about progression here, your sophomore album that you had, I Am it speaks to what you had mentioned earlier with these messages that you had kind of woven into it, right, intricately. But from my understanding also, it was able to chart internationally, and so you kind of got some global acclaim from it as well. I mean, talk to me about how that was, because that seems like a next progression as an artist, right, when you're able to expand to international reaches as well. Talk to me about that album and then reaching that particular space there with it.
That was a surprise. Yeah, it was. And that was actually from social media platforms. So, yeah. So, and you just never know when you put things out, who it's going to touch and how it's going to take off. So for us, we had already been several years deep in our career. We had those songs recorded, and we started our TikTok journey and posting different videos of things that we had already posted on other platforms, but it brought us to a new circle on TikTok. And when we put them out on TikTok, it just took off, where people were making their own videos of the song. And so from the videos going viral, it lended to the iTunes download chart for the charting, which that was really cool to us, because we've been on like Billboard charts for different releases that we put out to radio with promo behind them. But this was something completely organic that just consumers were making happen with their own love of the music. So that was just a different type of success for us, and we're grateful people was onto it.
It was all new to us. We actually, while it was happening, we were telling our managers, we're like, this is actually a thing. It's we had to like screenshot and show, and it just happened actually very quickly, and it was all the best surprise to us.
In places we've never been.
Yeah.
You know, UK, there was Ireland, there was France, so many different places in the top 10. And so we still really want to go there and meet all of these people that downloaded our music in person. Yeah. It was great. We also,
is that, go ahead.
I was just gonna say that album was all just like kind of a take it as it comes, because we got funding from our grant system up in Canada, Factor, and it was during the pandemic, so we really like hunkered down and we just kept adding more and more songs. Like we were like, okay, well, we have all this time, we're not touring, we're not doing anything, like let's just make more and more music. So we made this 16-song album in our garage, and it has done such great things to us. That brought us to the Opry stage.
Wow, that's cool. What a success story. From relocating then from Canada over to Nashville, like that's on a lot of people's radar, right? To get there, get the help that they need, surround themselves with the right squad, etc. Like, how has that impacted your career from moving locations?
Well, in all ways, it's the best thing to do. If you want to be doing music, definitely go where everybody is doing music. And literally in Music City, Nashville is the place to be if you're not just country, but we're finding all genres. We're writing for people that are pop. We're writing for all genres as well. So we don't just write for ourselves, we write for other people, and then we meet other people here, and we're saturated in creativity. So it's been pretty amazing coming here.
Yeah, we feel like we found our people, and it's also very humbling, because I think you can grow in a circle that is smaller, just because Canada naturally has less people making music. So you get to know everyone, you kind of know what everyone's doing. And then you come down to a place where there's so many creative minds all working at once that you can go out and watch live music everywhere, every night of the week, and just be blown away by every single person up on the stage. And it's so inspiring, but again, it makes you want to go home and write better songs and practice what we do all the time and just keep elevating yourself. So it's been super motivating for us.
Yeah, well, it reminds me of some parallels that I could make in the sports arena as well, where like you surround yourself with excellence and you can't help but rise to that, right? If it's in you, that is, I should say.
Totally.
Yeah, someone told us once to make a goal of being the worst in the room all the time. So you're always getting better. You're always learning from people who are better than you, and you're always growing and stuff. Yeah. So it's true. Like you want to be around people who are where you want to be, so you can keep
leveling up. Yeah.
Keep leveling up. Exactly. Yeah. And being around these circles, I'm sure whether it's in that locale or in general with some of the stages that you guys have shared, sets with and whatnot, artists like Lone Star, Ricky Skaggs I've seen, Dierks Bentley, etc. Some high profile artists. I mean, you being around them, elaborate for me a little bit more, like any nuggets that you've pulled away from being on similar stages with some of these that have quote unquote made it, in their own right.
I think for me, it's the reality that they are people as well. Like I tend to put a lot of celebrities on these pedestals. That's like this unreachable thing almost in my mind. And to open up and to meet Ricky Skaggs, that was just remarkable. That was one of the most magical things I think we've ever experienced backstage and before and after the show. He talked to us and he did some prayers with us, and he just like really opened a lot of like mental doors for me personally that I didn't actually even knew existed in like the realm of just what it takes to get there and how to stay with it and how to never give up and stay disciplined. And yeah, he really believed in us. He was just such a go-getter for what we're doing, and he was very supportive. So I don't know, that was one of my biggest takeaways from meeting somebody.
Yeah, we met in this town there's so many like musicians. One time that stands out to me was meeting Billy Dean, and he just like, without even having to at all, like we just went to say hey to him because we saw him in a round, and he was like, hey, like, who are you guys? What are you doing? He asked questions, and then he just like gave us all this advice that we were like blown away again. We needed it. Oh yeah, it aligned with what was happening in our life so perfectly. Yeah. It was like he was psychic. Yeah. So that was like one that really stands out to me. It was like something we really need to hear, and I had never heard before.
Mm-hmm. And he took us to a show.
He invited us places. Yeah. Really? Kind of like to your point that you know, the people that you look up to are real people.
Mhm.
It also reminds you that no matter what level of success you get, how important it is to keep just being a relatable person
Stay
and
humble.
connecting to whether that's other artists or whether that's the people in the audience. Because I think at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing.
Totally.
We're all singing songs and
Yeah.
trying
And
to be an entertainer. And
we also did get to hang out with Dolly.
we did.
Yes.
And she
Oh,
was
I've seen that.
we sat
That was
on
another
a
level.
couch with her.
Yeah.
She
And
waved and
sang
danced with
sang
us.
songs with her. It just felt like someone from your family.
Yeah.
So it was really neat to just see that, you know, people can have these levels of success and not lose that part of them that just feels like, you know, meeting a friend.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. Very, very reminiscent of what I've heard others speaking to, you know, as they climb the ranks. It's like people are just people, you know, and you learn to connect with them. So, yeah, that's so true. As a trio, I don't know the whole dynamics behind your relationship, but I kind of look at you as sisters. And so it's like, you know, if I had three brothers, I think we'd all operate a little bit differently, even if we're on the same train track. So I'm curious about how you three approach the creative process when you're constructing new tracks. Like, is there somebody that's kind of the point person in one arena, others kind of fall in line with that, or do you guys all lend an ear equally? Like, how does that creative process work between the three of you?
I feel like it's different every time, but we do have some strengths within ourselves that we'll either speak up or we'll have an idea, we'll come with an idea, and then either we take that idea or that leads into a new idea. So I think for every I feel it's a little bit different every time. So
And we've written together so much now, like hundreds and hundreds of songs we've written together now. So we have gotten to know each other's writing styles and strengths as well. So like I feel like we do look at each other for certain things, or like brains are just like they work a little differently. So and things you relate to and stuff, like you said. I think we're also so considerate of each other. We always want to hear each other's ideas and let everybody share how it relates to them or check in on each other. We've heard from other co-writers when we've written with them that they really respect the way that we respect each other in the room. And so I think that for us really keeps the creative flow open because it allows you to feel like you're in a safe space. And I think that's another thing that's kind of a comfort of being in a trio versus being an individual songwriter walking into a room. We always have this safe space of each other when we're sharing maybe a vulnerable part of an emotion that is attached to an idea of a song. We feel a lot more comfort because we're around each other than, I mean, for me, I know I would feel a little bit more intimidated walking into meeting a brand new person, sharing personal details of a story and then singing about it. But with each other, it seems to flow.
Yeah, definitely.
You know, earlier when you first mentioned about how you guys met, it's clear in that space that there's also this maybe entrepreneurial edge to what you are doing as well. Explain a little bit for me, if you could, on how that kind of lends itself in this lane of being artists as well in music, when it comes to like publishing or branching out and, you know, some even venturing into creating their own label, and having a little bit more control over the artistry and how the whole distribution process works out and whatnot. Like, where are you guys at in that particular journey of your career with taking the reins over certain pieces of your career?
Well, we all have our own publishing companies now, so we're all separate. We've separated that. It is definitely a business. When I had my bands prior to this band, I didn't realize how much of a business the music industry is and how much you do have to self-manage and control the entire situation and the whole atmosphere of what you're working in. It's not just about creating, it's the whole, if you want to be a whole package, you have to act like the whole package. So you have to know how to do like pretty much everything, booking yourself, the finances, the publishing, like the sync and the whole grand spectrum of music. You really need to learn how to do it, and you can't rely really, well, you can, but I mean, if you go out and find yourself people to do the work for you, but there's something really different about doing it. And like almost like when, if you were growing up and your parents just bought you everything and then you just didn't really know what hard work is. We really understand what hard work is. And there's just something to be said about doing it this way. And like the working every day, working long days and doing it all yourself.
Yeah.
Always learning. Like it's always changing. So we're just constantly learning. True. So we definitely don't feel like we've got it and we know it all. Like we still like ask other people a lot, like for advice or like how to do something or something, but we figure it out on most of so far.
We're pretty adaptable and we're open to being, we're open to not always knowing exactly
being
what
guided.
we're doing.
Yeah. And we are like slowly expanding our team too. So I think like the big picture hope is that we do have people that can help us with these things on a professional level. But until you get there, you got to figure it out on your own.
Yeah. Well, speaking of challenges, like, is there any in particular that you could speak to that you three have faced as being a female trio in the industry? Like, has there been any specific challenges that you could say that, hey, I might have faced this because of being a female trio, or would you say that hasn't even been an issue and hasn't been hard at all? Like, any particular challenges in general that you guys have faced that you want to share?
Radio is very difficult for female artists to be played as much as male artists, but we have heard that is changing. We just haven't experienced that thus far.
Yeah. And radio lends into a lot of the decisions from like festival buyers. So you'll sometimes notice a few more male names on the bill than female names.
Yes.
So it's something that, I mean, at least we have each other.
Yeah. Our mothers are our biggest fans.
I'm sure. She's always going to support you. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. For anybody that hasn't heard a live performance or heard much of your music, I mean, we're going to put, one of your players in the write-up to this interview as well. But explain to me in your own vernacular what a Heels performance look like. I mean, I've watched enough of your videos and music and heard enough of it myself, but what would you describe it as to somebody asking for the first time?
Well, we do a full band show and we also have a trio show. So it just depends on what you want.
I'd say it's fun, energetic, funny.
Yeah.
We play instruments when we have full band. Like, I mean, more
we like to get glamorous. Yeah. We really like to connect with the audience. Mm-hmm. So we try to, involve people, whether we're asking them to sing along with us or clap your hands along, or we just want people to have a good time. We want you to leave feeling like it was an experience and something that you don't forget, and just to feel like that it's not just us singing at people, like it's like a whole experience that's happening together.
Good. Gotcha. And speaking of experiences with, your latest EP, Work of the Heart, explain to me the experience of that. Like, what kind of themes are you exploring in that particular project, and how would you say that's different from your previous work?
Very different. Yeah. It's a lot more maybe Americana.
Yeah, and it's more serious.
Yeah.
We were supposed to have all these shows lined up and head down south, and then up in Canada we had another round of like pandemic lockdowns. So then we had to cancel everything, and then we went up into the mountains in BC, and then we just wrote instead. And we studied with the Sound Healing Center that Bobbi was talking about earlier, up in the Kootenays of BC, and immersed ourselves in that. That's where kind of like the more serious, emotional side of the album was created.
Yeah. I think our past stuff, we kind of started out where we were really looking for empowerment. We were on a journey of healing some things that we were going through. So the first album, there's a lot of songs that come from a place of, I don't need you, I got this. And we felt like that was a really strong anthem. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then we moved into the second album. And like Britt said, it got quite long because we were doing nothing but recording at that time in our life. And we have many different elements on there and different influences. And then this one, we always want to keep bringing something new. So I guess this was a sound that we hadn't played around with as much, and then themes that we hadn't written about as much. And we just try to keep things fresh for our listeners and making our catalog as diverse as possible.
Yeah, this one we were kind of like nervous almost to put out because it was so different for us, and also so serious for us, like compared to what we had put out.
Gotcha. if you were to give some words of inspiration and wisdom, I mean, much of your music is empowerment towards people, messaging, even the music itself and how you're constructing it is said to, as you mentioned earlier, bring healing to people. If somebody were to be listening, they're in the thick of it, because we do have a lot of people that are in this space. They're musicians or aspiring musicians, entrepreneurs, etc. What kind of words of encouragement would you give them, or nuggets of wisdom that you've experienced in your walk? They would say, hey, don't give up, or you got this, or here's a tip of inspiration because this is what I learned the hard way. What would you say that is?
I would say don't take anything personally. It's not nothing. It really is. If it all comes down to it, nothing's personal. And as long as you love yourself enough and you take care of yourself, and
Yeah.
yeah.
In that vein, I'd say as well, making music that you love. Because for us, when we started out, there's always this temptation to chase a trend.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you risk, well, it might not be successful. And then you've made music that really didn't identify with what you wanted to do. So now you have a piece of art that maybe doesn't feel as fulfilling as it could have. But also, if you're chasing something that's on the radio, by the time you record it, get it ready for promotion and put it out, that trend's going to be gone and past, and then there's going to be a new trend. So we've always tried to stay true to what feels good for us, and if we put it out and people love it, then that's even better, and if they don't, then we still love it.
Yeah, I'd say something like also kind of similar, but like the whole pathway to getting your success is such a roller coaster, and like there's times to celebrate and there's times where you're like twiddling your thumbs, and then there's times that are heartbreaking. So like also not taking any of that personally, even the really great applause and celebrations, like you just have to be like, that's great, and I'm gonna like also keep going and move on, because it's going to keep going up and down. And
That's the thing about being an entertainer. That's one of the hardest things about being an entertainer is there's these massive highs.
Yeah.
And how to when you're back home at Christmas and there's nothing going on and you're like, wow, how do I maintain my sanity this way when you're used to all the high?
Yeah. So it's like not making that your identity, because otherwise you're going to lose it sometimes.
Yeah, that's good. That's great stuff. For the next 6 to 12 months, what's on your radar? Obviously, maybe a UK tour. If somebody's hearing this and they're like, "Hey, we need to get these."
That's always good.
Yeah, we're playing a lot of festival shows, and how many?
I counted last night.
Last
I was
night,
going to say
counted.
56 shows this year so far.
So far,
Yeah.
wow.
Congrats.
Sending out emails and trying to introduce ourselves to venues.
So 156
So you
by the
never
time.
know.
That's
Yeah.
between like March and October.
Just what we have on the books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even a whole year.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're putting in work.
Yeah, and we write all the time. We almost, sometimes we write twice a day, but right now it's about Monday to Friday. So every week there's another 5 songs. And
Wow.
we're really trying to, we just did some harmonies for a Canadian artist that's actually recording a song that we wrote. So we're also trying to give our music to other people, like
And
other
an
artists.
American artist who's recording
Yes,
a song.
Yes,
we did that last week.
Oh, and
So
this
this
is very exciting for us.
Yeah, so putting our music out ourselves, but also have other people put our music out.
We're
Yeah.
very passionate about songwriting and performing equally. So we kind of do everything.
We're creators.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. As a final plug for yourself, anybody listening, where can they find you? Where can they catch you? Where would you send them to?
theheelsmusic.com, HEELS music.com. And that's also the tag on every social media platform, The Heels Music.
The Heels Music. Awesome. Well, Kyla, Bobbi, Brittni, it's been phenomenal for having you here. Thank you so much for taking some time with me. This has been great. Wish you the best, and we'll catch you next time.
Hey, sounds good.
Bye.